really tough watching criminals run wild and steal land and property and people's children and spike the water supply and openly announce they're going to cut off our resources and arrest you if you have more than one child and enforce it to the Chinese model, and our government praising the Chinese model. Notice, Bob Chapman, overnight we've gone from decrying China's secret arrest and infanticide and taking political dissidents' organs, which is all admitted, to suddenly just saying, none of it exists. China's wonderful. We love China. They've been positioned to be the muscle for the New World Order. Do you agree with that statement?
I think that's a good one. And I would think that if there's disruption in the United States, they would be the first ones who would be called to bring in troops.
And by the way, if people can't believe that, NLE 09, 4 months ago, FEMA, just Google NLE, National Level Exercise 09, and it says troops from 14 countries are here training with us to put down a U.S. rebellion. Open public foreign troops, Bob.
That's right. And they were here for, 6 weeks?
Yeah. They actually just kept it going. They just scaled it down after 6 weeks. I mean, you can't make this type of stuff up. BB in North Carolina. BB, you're on the air.
Good day, gentlemen. I just wanted to have a question for you and Bob Chapman. Is Obama preparing for civil war in U.S.? This article is even more disturbing than all the other stuff, even with the global warming fraud. And the,
Who wrote that? Who wrote that? Guys, print me that article. Is Obama preparing for civil war in the U.S.? Who wrote that?
Yes, sir. It's Chuck Baldwin. It's on your website, but I think the only thing more horrible or terrible would be a civil war.
FEMA admits they're preparing for civil war, so yes. Right.
The only thing I could think worse than civil war would be general strategic thermonuclear warfare. But what I want
bioweapons are even worse.
Right. What I would like to ask you and Bob Chapman was Webster Tarpley talks in his books. I've got all his books from your info shop, and he talked about that Obama could possibly usher in civil war, a general meltdown, disintegration of the U.S. banking at some point next year, the thermodynamic breakdown in the economy, bank runs, that would precipitate a civil war, and what Igor Panarin talks about the collapse of the U.S. and late June, early July, starting in 2010. I'll take your comments off the air. Thank you.
Bob Chapman, comments.
Well, Panarin has said that, and he is also looking for a collapse in the financial system in the United States, and, of course, it'll spread throughout the world. No one will be spared.
And that's by design to consolidate power.
Exactly. And I'm expecting that there will, late in 2010, there will be a meeting of all countries' representatives, and I think they'll revalue, devalue currencies. I think that the U.S. government will devalue. No one knows for sure what the devaluation will be in numbers, but I backed into it, having done this sort of thing for many years, and I think it's going to be one new one for $3 old. And I think that there will be a settlement between countries of debt, and I think 2/3 of it will be written off. How this will affect the average person with the devaluation in the United States, I don't know. Logic would have us believe if you had a $100,000 loan and there was a devaluation by 2/3, then your loan would be payable back at $32,500. But there's no logic in Washington, and there's no logic among the Illuminati. They do what they want to do. So goodness knows what can happen. But it does not look good. It could last another 6 months into 2011 for this devaluation, but I think it's coming. I've written about it just recently.
Well, Bob, stay there. Stay there. We're going to talk about the international forecaster, how folks get a copy when we come back, and tell people what a devaluation will do to us economically. And if that isn't enough, a bunch of carbon taxes on top of it. We had Ron Paul on with us at the very start of the first hour for a half hour. And he said that he had to go at 12:30, 11:30 Central to go vote, and he said he believed it would pass and that it was a strong bill. Sweeping bank reform bill clears House. Measure aimed at preventing another big financial crisis. Imposes more oversight and creates Consumer Protection Agency. And they hide in here that it has the provision to audit the Federal Reserve. They certainly don't want to trumpet that. Bob Chapman, comment on that, and then what dollar devaluation will look like so people understand how serious it is.
Well, it will inhibit the flow of business within a country or throughout the world. Less people will be employed. Real estate and other investments will probably, like they did during the Depression, get down anywhere between 60 and 95% and wouldn't recover until maybe we had another war. Maybe they'd never recover. The evaluation for America is going to be a staggering blow because we've lived better than anybody else in the world, and so that we got a long way to go down. I mean, you go to a country, say Mexico, they've had a lot of poverty, real poverty for many years, so people have got used to living that way, and all the houses in Mexico, with minor exception, are paid for with cash. So they don't have the downside that Americans do. And it's true in many other countries as well. So a devaluation will be devastating. How do you protect yourself? There's only one way I know, and that's gold and silver-related assets, period. There is no other way. And if you're not doing it, you're fools.
Continue, Bob.
I think that the passage in the House, and we will pass the Senate, this bill, which is actually, the bill is monstrous, except for the part about the auditing and investigation of the Fed. And I'm going to write about that for tomorrow's issue, right after we get off the program here. But anyway, it's a seminal event that this legislation included the auditing of the Fed. And the reason why I think it's a major turning point, we get it passed in the Senate, becomes law, and immediately get the GAO in there and find out who the money's going to, why is it going to them, how are they using it, what are they paying for, what's the collateral, how many foreign central banks, foreign entities of all kinds are receiving funds which are created out of thin air by the Federal Reserve. What are the assets of the Federal Reserve really? And there's just a myriad of things. And we can do that within 6 months. And by the time the next election comes around, hopefully we can throw half the incumbents out of office. It doesn't matter what party they're in. We got to get them out. They're on the take. They're getting paid. How do they get paid? Campaign contributions. By who? Wall Street, banking, insurance, transnational conglomerates, the pharmaceutical companies, etc. These are the big guns in there. And the people who are getting paid off by them, get them out of there. We might have a chance to make this happen. It's our only chance, legally, through the system.
Absolutely. You know, I look at the overall bill, and thank God Ron Paul got that one good part in there, but Obama's approving of it, so you know it's bad. It says Obama administration expressed its approval of the House action. So, again, I wish I would have had more time, or I would have gotten to this earlier with Ron Paul to fully flesh it out, because he was talking about how, well, they tried to strip the good provisions out in committee, but he got an amendment in to keep the strong audit the Fed bill part in. So I should have asked Ron Paul how he was even going to vote on this, because he'll vote against something that has something good in it if it has something bad in it. But it did pass. I mean, that's quite a mystery. I'll have to find out here in the next few days. I wonder what the quickest way to find out is, Bob.
Get on the phone and call him.
That's a good idea. Guys,
that
call.
Is the best way, and just say, Ron, what's the good parts, what's the bad parts? Obviously, you voted for it. It's just like the concept, your enemy's enemy is your friend, or at least for the time being. And you got to look at it that way, because we're desperate people doing desperate things. We're entrapped by an evil cabal, and we got to do anything we can to get out of it. First, within the law. Later, if we can't do it that way, it'll be outside the law. And that's just the way things are.
Okay, I do have it from CNN Money. Federal Reserve, the bill would allow Congress, so I was correct, to order the Government Accountability Office to audit the Fed activities. So now the audit goes forward if the Senate passes this, and they're set to pass it because they want the overall package. So to audit the Fed does go forward, Bob Chapman.
Well, again, it's a turning point in our history, a big one.